basically different insights that he's able to
How you doing, man? Oh, I'm actually a little bit on the phone right now. How you doing? How you doing? How you doing now? You good?
Yeah. Microphone,
Oh, damn. Thank you.
computer.
Yeah.
Guys. Okay. Mute. Okay. Okay, let me just mute like this. Okay, sorry. Anyway, all right. So anyway, what I posted on the group was about Bob Proctor. He said, "Well, what is it that is it that he was able to have success and then other people, aren't?" And so basically, his response was, "Okay, the thing is that I didn't only just read this book. I was able to read this book and I continue to read this book for the past 50 years. So this is something that basically has been able to continue to study week after week, and he continues to study to this day. So basically, I want to let you guys know about that, and also, so basically, just about that. And if there's I don't know if there's anybody else that would like to introduce themselves, say anything that they would like to say about the book, or anything that they hope that they get out of the book. I don't know if anybody else would like to make any comments to start before we get started. Okay. Yes. Beth.
Hi. One of the things that I'm looking for is one to really get going. To have an accountability group. And I think this is going to do it because we're going to do it all together, and it's going to be for X amount of weeks that'll keep me accountable each and every week going towards my goal. Okay. And one of the things that I learned from another group is to actually write down, and I think it's probably part of the book, is to write down what you want to have happen and review it every morning and say it 2 or 3 times a day so it becomes part of your body. Right. And I've never done that before, and I'm planning on doing it. So I want everybody here to keep me accountable.
Awesome, Beth. You know what? I'm so happy you mentioned that, because we're actually going to cover that. I don't want to get ahead of ourselves, right? But but basically, Think and Grow Rich actually goes into that. When you're talking about the statement, they go into that in chapter 2, where they talk about doing what you said, reading twice a day, and then I've actually committed to doing that. I'm doing that various times a day, and I have created the statement. It talks in chapter 2, creating a daily major purpose statement, where you list out what it is that your goal is, what it is that you want to achieve in your health, what it is that you want to achieve in your relationship, what it is that you want to achieve in anything, and that's what, and to be honest with you, that's what's kept me studying this book is what you're talking about right now. It's called I guess they call it in the book the definite major purpose statement, or the daily major purpose statement. And so we're gonna get into that, and I'm so happy you brought it up, because that's something that I'm the most passionate about in this book. A lot of things in the book kind of revolve around the daily major purpose statement, auto suggestion, and a lot of different things. So, but definitely that's something that we're definitely gonna cover, and we're definitely gonna go over as we go through the call. So thank you for participating in that.
And I know how much it works, because I listened to a woman talk about, she decided to do a triathlon, which she had never even thought of doing. Wow. In I think April or May, and she accomplished it 4 months later. Wow. Just because of that daily wow. thing.
Daily thing, right? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, definitely. No, definitely. This statement is definitely gonna reap huge rewards, and every one of the people on this call is gonna reap huge rewards for every one of you guys. So I feel like I'm letting the cat out of the bag, and you just touch on a big, huge point in the book. And that's something that I want to provide a huge emphasis on, because, this statement is done wonders. It does done wonders for like the person you said that completed triathlon. It's done wonders for a lot of people. Myself, I put a lot of things in my statement about things that I wanted to have in my relationship, my health, my family, and all these little things. And all these little things make a huge difference as we go forward. So we're definitely going to get into that. Hopefully, the good thing about chapter 1 is it definitely lays the foundation. It says at the beginning, or I think it's at the end, towards the end of the chapter, it says basically, it says at the end of the chapter, we are now ready. We are after going through the whole chapter, it says, we are now ready to examine the first of these principles, maintain a spirit of open-mindedness, and remember as you read, these are the invention of no one man. The principles were gathered from the life experiences of more than 500 men who accumulated riches in huge amounts, men who began in poverty with but little education, without influence. The principles worked for these men. You could put them to work for your own enduring benefit. You will find it easy, not hard to do. So that's how the chapter concludes, letting us know. Well, actually, we're gonna take a step back and actually cover the chapter. But I just want to let you know it says that because the principles that are covered in this chapter actually cover very important ground things. So first of all, and to start the book, and one of the areas in the books is one of the things that it says basically is one of the statements that it says in the book. It says this. It says, one of the main weaknesses of mankind is the average man's familiarity with the word impossible. He knows all the rules which will not work. He knows all the things which cannot be done. This book was written for those who seek the rules which have made others successful and are willing to stake everything on those rules. A great many years ago, I purchased Fine Dictionary. The first thing I did with it was turn the word impossible, immediately clip it out of the book. That would be an unwise thing for you. That would be an unwise thing for you to do. Success comes to those who become success conscious. And I just wanted to read this quick statement in the book because, I've attended, I don't know if you guys have attended, I think, Tony Robbins seminars. And one of the things I listened to when I went to one of his seminars, the Life and Wealth Mastery, last year, was this. He said this: just by being in the room, just by being in the room with, in that environment, just by being in that room, you can absorb 20% of the information just by being in the room. And so let's say all of us in here, we could just, obviously participating and then, just by being here, let's say you just showed up and you're in the background doing some other stuff. Just by being here, you could learn 20% of the information. Now, I said, if you come into the seminar, you take notes, you're taking notes on things that are important to you. There, you can retain up to 46% of the information that you're learning. Then he said, but if you come in, you're in the room, you're listening, you're taking notes, and you're playing full out. You're taking notes, you're saying yes, you're participating. You can retain up to 96% of the information on this book. So what I'm saying is we got to, it's important that we play full out. Even if we don't play it full out, we're still going to get a huge benefit from it. But by playing full out, we're going to get even better benefit. We're going to be able to even absorb even better the ideas, the comments that everybody makes on these calls. So having said that, I want to make that and just let you guys know that it's really important that, if you see something that kind of sticks out in your mind, even Napoleon Hill points it out a lot in the book. As soon as you hear that idea, make sure that you guys write it down. Make sure it's one idea can change everything, can make, can basically alter your, the course of your life. It's a little 2-3 millimeter shift that makes a huge difference in everything that we're doing. So anyway, let me see here. Another thing that it covers here in the book also, it says, if we remember, it talked about the person that went to, I think it was California, and there in California, he ended up putting all his materials to travel to California during the gold rush, and he ended up buying materials and finally ended up finding a gold mine in California, and finally, but the thing is that he ended up finding the gold mine. He actually got all the materials, got loans from his friends and family, and finally was able to dig up a bunch of gold that gave him a lot of money to get started with. But what ended up happening? Do you guys remember what ended up happening with this person after he started getting a lot of gold from the mine? You guys remember? This
He couldn't find he lost the vein, and then he just kept digging in the wrong place, and he just after a while he gave up. Right or no?
Edward, for some reason we can't hear you. Oh, Edwin, I'm sorry.
Oh. I think that's one part you were talking about was that the guy was digging up the gold. He found a gold vein, and then eventually it wasn't exactly where he was digging at first. So then he kept digging and digging, and then he couldn't find it anymore. And then he kind of just gave up, and he ended up selling the vein and kind of losing a lot of money. I mean, selling the gold mine that he found.
Exactly. Thank you. No, exactly. So basically, that's how it ended up happening. A person struck Richards, basically took the gold, and then he ended up getting rid of the material. He went home. He sold it to someone locally there. That person, instead of it wasn't a regular man. This person, a regular person. It looked like a regular person that received the materials that the person had given up on. But he ended up hiring an expert to basically look at that mine, see what's going on. The person that looking at it ended up finding that he was just 3 feet away from hitting the goal, hitting the rest of the goal. I guess they were called fault lines. And so based on that person ended up making millions and millions of dollars. But one principle that they talk about in the book is this: it says any failure that anybody experiences gives you a seed of equivalent success. So that person that ended up having that failure basically ended up reaping rewards from that, because he didn't just say, okay, wow, I lost my opportunity, and that's all that I get to experience in my life. That was my chance. That's not what he ended up doing. Instead, what he said, you know what? I came up 3 feet from gold, but I will never let that ever happen again. So he ended up applying. It was Mr. Darby that never ended. He didn't end up letting himself let that experience get away from him. So he ended up applying that experience in the insurance field. And so in one of the areas it says, let me see here. It says light. So in the book at one point it says this: Life is strange and often imponderable. Both the successes and failures have their root in simple experiences. Mr. Darby's experiences were commonplace and simple enough, yet they held the answer to his destiny in life. Therefore, they were as important to him as life itself. He profited by these 2 dramatic experiences, because he analyzed them. He found the lesson they taught. But what of the man who has neither the time nor the inclination to study the failure in search of knowledge that may lead to success? Where and how is he to learn the art of converting defeat into stepping stones of opportunity? And so if you see in this paragraph, I'll ask some other questions that are going to be answered in the book, but it just talks about we all have to make sure that we're able to look at any experience that happens to us and analyze it, make sure that we are able to basically profit from that idea. I bet any mistake that any of us has had in the past, we've been able to have grow leaps and bounds from. And that's I guess one question I wanted to ask everybody. Well, if there is for me personally, everybody has had some trials and tribulations along the way. What's something that you guys feel that is something maybe you've had a letdown? What's something that you've had a failure on? What's something that maybe you were disappointed on, that you thought maybe that life was over, or you weren't going to be able to improve it? What's something? I guess my question is to you guys: is there a moment in time in your life that you failed momentarily, I guess you could say, where you've been able to pick yourself up and then renew yourself and come back even stronger at it because you were able to experience that? And so I wanted to, I guess, open up the call to see if there's someone that could share maybe a failure that they've experienced along the way, where maybe they were able to grow from that experience that they were held back from. So if there's anybody that has experience that would like to share, I would like to open up the lines right now so everybody could go ahead and share an experience that they've had.
No one wants to share. I'll share. I'll share mine first. I guess one of my biggest ones I would have to say was when I was in I was going to a community college nearby, and I guess my GPA wasn't as good as I wanted it to be. I had probably like the first 2 semesters I had like a 3.2, but then I dropped down to about like a 2.7, and I went to the counselor trying to figure out, when I could transfer to another school, to university. And what she had told me was that that my GPA was too low, that I needed at least a 3.5 to get into any school that was, I guess, that was good. She offered me a few other options that were some schools that, for me, they, like, I guess on the rankings, they weren't too good, and I had never heard any good things about them. So I was like, for me, in my mind, I felt like I failed, and I was like, I thought I was a man. If I was able to have like one more chance to do that, like, I know I would do it a lot better. And then I went home that day, and I was just like wondering, like, there has to be a way I can do this. Like, I can't just like do nothing. Like, and then one of my friends, he told me he got accepted into Taos University, and I kind of was like surprised, because I mean, I'm not saying anything bad about him, but I know that he's really kind of like, he would have like kind of slack on his work a lot more than me, especially. So what he told me was that he only had a 2.1 GPA, and as soon as he told me that, I was like, no, if he could do that, then I can do it too. And I went home and I wrote an essay. To Taos University, and 2 weeks later, I got an acceptance letter. So for me, like, that was one point that I guess, like, I felt like I got knocked down. But I don't know, in me, I guess I felt like you could either feed that failure, or you could kind of use that thought to like kind of propel you forward. So I mean, I guess if that applies to this example, like for me, that I felt like a failure at that point. But now, I mean, I graduated this past semester, so I feel great now.
Okay, all right. Thank you for sharing. Definitely. Basically, the point I'm getting at is basically just like Jimmy was sharing right now. Whenever we have any type of failure along the way, because we're gonna have bumps, especially as we create the daily major purpose statement, as we write out the goals that we want to achieve, as we do these things, people are gonna try to basically say, no, you can't do that. There's a person in this book that basically had big dreams. They point in the book on, I believe it was David Marconi. Let me see if I remember the story here. Marconi. Yeah. So for example, in the book, it says this: Marconi dreamed of a system for harnessing the intangible forces of ether. Evidence that he did not dream in vain may be found in every wireless and radio in the world. Moreover, Marconi's dream brought the humblest cabin in the most stately manner house side by side. It made the people of every nation on earth backdoor neighbors. It gave the president of the United States a medium by which they may talk to all the people of America at one time and on short notice. It may interest you to know that Marconi's friends had taken him into custody and examined in a psychopathic hospital when he announced he had discovered a principle through which he could send messages through the air, without the aid of wires. So, obviously, like back then when a phone didn't exist, you tell people you can talk without having any type of wiring, people are going to think you're crazy, So just like Jimmy was talking about, they say, maybe you can't go to this school. You're going to have to go to, stick to these type of schools. As we make our statement, as we, dare to dream beyond maybe like, all of us like to dream, but now once we put those dreams on paper, once we put those dreams on a definite major purpose statement, once we put those dreams using the principles that we're going to be applying here, that's when everything begins to take off. That's when everything you're able to skyrocket to the next level. And that's what this is all about. And so basically, Mr. Darby, R.U. Darby, basically was able to profit from that example. Even though he failed on a grand scale, he was able to basically profit from that idea. He was able to put that idea to work. And that's what this is all about, putting it all to work and seeing how we can work. And I'm gonna make sure we get homework after this. I'm gonna give you some bonus homework. Obviously, we're gonna be going through the chapters. Chapter 2 is gonna be homework. I'll give you some additional bonus stuff that you guys can do it by yourself as extra. But definitely, just we need to keep and know that as we set those large goals, as we set those, stretch goals, people might think we're crazy. They're going to say, Jimmy, who are you to say that? Beth, who are you to say that? Anthony, who are you to say that you're this person, that person? You're not able to do this. You're not able to do that. Who are you to make a daily major purpose statement? Who are you to yell that out all loud all over the place? You need to be like me. You need to be like me. I'm more calm. You need to be like me. You got to be more like me. So a lot of times when we try to be a little different, sometimes you can get shunned out. You can be excluded from whatever event or whatever thing. So, it's important that we keep that in mind. Let's say another thing that's talked about in this book, I guess, just I'll quickly mention it. It says this, truly, and I guess it mentions this throughout the book. It says, truly, thoughts are things, and powerful things at that. When they are mixed with definiteness of purpose, persistence, and a burning desire for their translation into riches or all the material objects, that's when they come into fruition. So basically, in that little statement, it says it towards the beginning that basically thoughts are things, and they're very powerful when they're mixed with definiteness of purpose, persistence, and burning desire. Those three things, you're able to achieve many things. And I had posted on the Facebook page, I guess I had posted a quote from, from Muhammad Ali, that basically had encompassed something with those desires. Basically, he said, champions aren't made in the gyms. Champions are made from something that have deep inside them, a desire, a dream, a vision. And so those three things are very important. Persistence in anything is very important. You can imagine Mr. Darby when he decided, okay, I gave up on the gold mine, but now I'm gonna get into insurance. You better bet that insurance is not a commodity item. It's not an item that you go into a 7-Eleven or a convenience store and you get yourself a bottle of water or something like that. Insurance is some people need it. Some people don't really need it. So for him to become the first $1 million sales in the insurance industry, you better know that basically he had the persistence to continue doing it. He had the desire to keep doing it. And basically one statement that he says regarding that was basically that he stopped 3 feet from gold, but he will never stop when someone says no to him. He will continue doing it. And as we all know, 92% of people, after they hear no the fourth time, they stop. They don't continue going. And that could be a huge letdown. I also posted another thing on the page that in regards to Walt Disney. He was turned down by, I think it was 200 something banks before he was finally financed to be able to open up his Walt Disney theme parks. People must have thought he was crazy too. No one had ever created a theme park in that time. No one ever created such a grand theme park in that time. Who are you to create a theme park? Who are you to offer this for families? Who are you to think that you're going to attract people from all over the United States to attend your thing? Who are you to create even Mickey Mouse? He had created another character that I think was I forget the name, but he was eventually ended up being shut out from this other group he was in, and that's when he ended up having to create a new. He had to start over from scratch. He ended up creating Mickey Mouse, and then from Mickey Mouse he ended up achieving a lot of things that we're able to share. We're able to look at today. If you have children, they're able to go to Walt Disney World or watch those cartoons on TV. So a lot of things that come, anything that's worthwhile is going to come to you through persistence. It's going to come through failure. It's going to come through failing, having disappointments, people telling you no, no, that's not what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to do it like this. You're supposed to go, have a 9 to 5 or whatever it is. You're supposed to work until with this age or whatever it is. But, everybody has their own way. You can just work till whatever age you want. And you can, live your life the way you choose to live it. And it all comes down to basically all comes down to living the principles in this book. So,
one of the things about Walt Disney, I think, if I'm not mistaken, he passed away before Disney World in Florida came to actually exist, to full existence. And somebody asked his brother what he thought. Too bad he never saw it. And what he said is Walt saw it. He saw it from the very beginning. And he knew exactly what it was. So it wasn't that he never saw it. It was never in the physical, he didn't see it, but he had seen it.
Right.
And Thomas Edison, if he had stopped after the first 700, 900 times of trying to get the light bulb, we would still be lighting candles.
Right. Exactly. And like you said, yeah. So he, like you said, I didn't know that about Walt Disney. So his brother saw it, and so that the good part is that his vision, even though he wasn't able to see it, he had the vision that to implant that in the people that were working alongside him. So that's incredible, and you could even look at other people today that had great grand visions that outlived them. If you look at Walmart, the great Walmart, Sam Walton, he has the biggest retail empire in the United States, around the world, because of a vision that he had while he was alive. Because of, he used to drive and he used to go on helicopters looking where his next site was going to be. So little crazy things that people probably never did. He did it. He said this, and he made sure that his vision outlived him. And so all those little things are really, very, very, point to the persistence that people have to have. And as long as that, it points to a very important thing in the book. And so another thing I want to do point about Mr. Edison, it says here, it says, education has nothing to do with it. Long before I was born, the secret had found its way into the possession of Thomas A. Edison, and he used it so intelligently that he became the world's leading inventor. Although he had but 3 months of schooling, the secret was passed on to a business associate of Mr. Edison. He used it so effectively, although he was then making only $12,000 a year, he accumulated a great fortune and retired from active business while still a young man. You will find his story at the beginning of the first chapter. So this was like an introduction. It should convince you that riches are not beyond your reach, that you can still be what you still wish to be. That money, the fame, recognition, and happiness can be and had by all who are ready and determined to have these blessings. So basically, it's true. The persistence that Thomas Edison had, all that is found is a common theme and a common thread between the people that are in this book, and it's very important to see that. And I guess another person that they talk about in this book is what's this person that worked there with Thomas Edison? It was, let me see here, the person that went to go talk with Mr. Edison was, the person that went to that sold the Ediphone. Do you guys remember his name?
Don't remember his name, but I do know that he was determined not to work for Thomas Edison, but to be his partner.
Right, exactly.
And even when he started being employed by him, he still had the determination that he was going to become his partner. That was what his goal was. And right. He did.
Right, exactly. I think it was Edward C. Barnes. There you go. And so, that's another one. Exactly. When, it talks about here, it says, he says when Edward C. Barnes decided to go over to become a partner of Thomas Edison, it says here in the book, he did not say to himself, well, what's the use? I guess I'll change my mind and try for a salesman job. But he did say, I came here to go into business with Edison and accomplish this end if it takes the remainder of my life. He meant it. What a different story men would have to tell if only they would adopt a definite purpose and stand by that purpose until it had time to become an all-consuming obsession. Maybe young Barnes did not know at the time, but his bulldog determination, his persistence in standing back of a single desire was destined to mow down all opposition and bring him the opportunity he was seeking. And basically, again, it talks about here, his determination, his persistence, backed by a single desire, was able to help him. Was able to help him achieve what he ended up achieving. And it goes on to talk about that. When an opportunity comes, sometimes, when, I don't know if you guys have experienced this before, when an opportunity presents itself to you guys, sometimes the opportunity doesn't just present itself to you in a perfect manner. It doesn't present itself to you, gift wrapped and a little present for you. Here you go. Here's the opportunity you've been waiting for. A lot of times when opportunity presents itself, basically when an opportunity presents itself to you, it comes in different forms. It comes in different ways. And what it says in the book, it says this. It says, when the opportunity came, it appeared in a different form and from a different direction than Barnes had expected. That is one of the tricks of opportunity. It has a sly habit of slipping in by the back door, and often it comes disguised in the form of misfortune or temporary defeat. Perhaps that is why so many fail to recognize opportunity. Mr. Edison had just perfected a new office device, known at the time as the Edison dictating machine, now the Ediphone. His salesmen were not enthusiastic over the machine. They did not believe it could be sold without great effort. Barnes saw his opportunity. It had crawled in quietly, hidden in a queer-looking machine which interested no one but Barnes and the inventor. And that's a powerful statement right there. I mean, imagine, some little dictating machine. If he was just thinking, we'll see, like what kind of opportunity I get from Thomas Edison. If that dictating machine, he would have looked at it and said, wow, that's going to take a lot of effort. Maybe I'll do it after I get my next paycheck the next week. I might decide to partner up with them, or maybe I'll partner up once I have the right opportunity. I accumulate enough money, because I've said that before. I've said, you know what, I don't have the opportunity right now to do this. I don't have enough money, or it's not that it's not good to budget. Obviously, we always have to budget, but imagine if he didn't have that strong desire at that point in time, he might have given up. We might never have even heard of Edward C. Barnes. He would have been another person that worked alongside Thomas Edison. A lot of the bright people that work with him, but maybe he wouldn't have been as well known. He might not have came into partnership with Thomas Edison. And so that persistence, that's where that persistence, that desire, that definite major purpose statement, getting ahead of ourselves a little bit, but that definite major purpose statement comes into play. And I'm pretty sure in the book it talks about how he kept repeating that he wanted to be partnered with him. So that has to do a lot with the auto suggestions that's also talked in the book as well. And let me see here. So that's a very important part also. I guess another important part that they also talk about in the book is also the little girl that was able to conquer, during slavery, the little girl that came to ask for 50 cents. And so the little girl, came, I guess her mom has sent her over to let me see here. Okay. So basically just talks, I guess I wrote down the notes of what the takeaway, Mr. Darby witnessed, Mr. Darby, the person from 3 Feet of Gold, witnessed this happen. So that's why it's connected to the book. Mr. Darby witnessed the little girl conquering the older white male, during times of slavery. And so what Mr. Darby pointed out about this transaction was this. Do you guys remember the little story about the little girl in the book? Basically, the little black girl at the time came to ask for 50 cents, and she kept insisting until she finally was able to get the 50 cents out of Mr. Darby's uncle. And what Mr. Darby pointed out about this transaction, about what happened here, he said, every time a prospect tried to bow me out without buying, I saw that child standing there in the old mill, her big eyes glaring in defiance. And I said to myself, I've got to make this sale. The better portion of sales have been made after people have said no. Like I had mentioned before, people will say, people give up after the fourth no. This little girl probably insisted at least 5 times or more to get the 50 cents. And a lot of times we have to insist on continuing to go after people give up, after people say no. In my business, I own a small chain of check cashing stores. I cater to the Hispanic market, and sometimes I have to do collections on some checks that return. And so sometimes I get no. There's people that have told me no, I'm not going to pay. And finally, after persistence, I finally get paid, you know, after months and months of trying, you know, and like, so I kind of relate that kind of to this. Any endeavor requires persistence. Anything that requires great effort requires persistence. You know, sometimes if a guy is going after a girl, a lot of times, you know, they'll tell, you know, they'll be rejected here. You know, my wife, you know, rejected me a bunch of times before she was like, okay, fine, you know, maybe we can go on a date or something like that, you know. So like something like that, sometimes anything that's worthwhile, it comes with effort. And if it was easier, sometimes if it was easy, then, you know, a lot of people would have it, but it can be easy as long as we apply the principles. It requires that desire that's within all of us to achieve all these things. And let me see here. And does anybody else have any comments about this little experience with the little black girl having, you know, getting the 50 cents? Did they have any takeaways from that? I guess from that experience, I don't know if anybody would like to had any comments regarding that experience on the call. Feel free to participate if you feel like you received something out of that exchange, or any times that you felt that you were persistent. After being persistent, you were able to achieve a goal. After you were told no, after that, you know, maybe people told you no, it can't be done, or you were rejected various times, that you were finally able to make something happen, to make something worthwhile from something like that. So if there's any experience that you feel that you had to be persistent in for you to achieve something great, I would like to hear any story of that you guys have had of persistence that you guys would like to share with everybody.
It looks like Baseman, BASMAN, wanted to speak,
Okay,
but it looks like his mic is muted.
Okay, sorry about that. Let me see here. Okay, Basement, if you wanted to just mention something, I think you were muted by mistake. If you want to share something, feel free to go ahead and mention anything. Okay, let's see here. All right, so if anybody doesn't have anything to mention, I'll just keep going then. Anyway, all of us you guys might be a little shy to mention it, but all of us, I know you guys maybe always have had, you know, overcome persistence in your lives, you know, whether it was in a relationship, in a business, in your job, with your friendships, you know, to keep a relationship going, to keep a marriage going, it requires persistence. I mean, it doesn't happen just, you know, there's arguments, there's this and that. You know, it's all about, you know, loving each other, loving unconditionally. It's about giving more without expecting anything back. And through times in any marriage, if they told you they didn't have persistence in their marriage, I'll tell you that, you know, that's BS. You know, everybody that has any type of relationship, any type of business, any type of friendship, any type of anything that requires communication with others, you're always going to have a persistence. You know, the persistence is required in that. You know, a year ago, last summer, I made the commitment to work out, you know, at least twice a week. You know, that's what my goal is, twice a week. And I've held my commitment to do it, partly because I got in contact with a personal trainer that charges pretty cheap, $15 a session. I said, you know, $30 is not that much to commit to my exercise. And I guess I'm up to this point. Maybe I made an excuse of working out further, but putting that in my statement, I'm pretty sure I can annihilate that, you know, that limiting belief. But at least that 2 times a week that I'm able to work out has been a huge. I've needed to be persistent every week in doing that. And there's been a few times that I was completely booked with work or something, I couldn't make it. It was very few times though that has happened. But as of yet, I think I've only missed maybe like 1 week during the snowstorm, and then another week where I had to be out of town. But regardless, persistence is required in all these little things. Okay, and so like I want to state another statement here that's in the book. It says this: before we go any further in our approach to the description of these principles, we believe you are entitled to receive this important suggestion. When riches begin to come, They come so quickly in such great abundance that one wonders where they have been hiding all during all those lean years. This is an astounding statement, all the more so when we take into consideration the popular belief that riches come only to those who work hard and long. When you begin to think and grow rich, you will observe that riches begin with a state of mind, with definiteness of purpose, with little or no hard work. You and every other person ought to be interested in knowing how to acquire that state of mind, which will attract riches. I spent 25 years in research analyzing more than 25,000 people because I too wanted to know how wealthy men became that way. This is, I think, powerful couple paragraphs here, and it's truly, it is this. I like to say this book is pretty remarkable. This book, honestly, this book is created from 25,000 people that think and grow rich. Napoleon Hill studied over time. It's not maybe books today are no one's create. I say no one. Maybe someone will come out and do another Think and Grow Rich book, but like nowadays, no one's crazy enough. I guess you say crazy to spend 20 years to do a book. I mean, a lot of people create a book with more than 20 years of experience, but Napoleon Hill was commissioned to create this book from Andrew Carnegie. He told him, I want you to spend 20 years studying the most successful people and then create a philosophy for the average human being so they can apply it. If you're told to study 20 years for a book, you're going to say, heck no, right? I mean, I would be hesitant. Maybe if Andrew Carnegie said it to you, or maybe Bill Gates or something like that. I don't know. I had to think about it. Honestly, I had to think long and hard if I was going to spend 20 years of my life just, spending my life to doing that. But it must have been a worthwhile endeavor for him because so many people have been able to reap so many benefits from it. And so having said that, just every little, that's why I feel that a lot of these little paragraphs in this book, there's so much knowledge. There's so much knowledge and golden nuggets in each of these paragraphs because all these little sentences that he adds into the book come through the filter of these 25,000, all these successful people that he was able to study. It comes through a filter of Andrew Carnegie. It comes through the filter of all the people that basically made it happen in their lives, and they were able to share, and they were able to come through. And we just got to know, what is it that creates what is it that allows us to achieve the success? What is it is it the money consciousness? Is it that burning desire to achieve what it wants? Is it attending a seminar, a Tony Robbins event? What is it that can allow us to achieve anything worthwhile? What is it that allows us to achieve anything that's worthwhile? And it has to do with all these principles that are in this book. It has to do with the desire. It has to do with all these little things, being success conscious. And it talks about success consciousness in the book. I don't know if you guys have ever heard in the book. Have you guys ever heard of the where they recommend to you guys, like for you to become success conscious, they tell you to dress the part, they tell you to act the part, speak the part, they tell you to one thing that I did, I wanted to show you guys in the call, but actually I left it upstairs. But anyway, I ordered one thing that Tony Robbins recommends.
Step right there. So
and a lot of people recommend on the.
Come on, baby.
A lot of people recommend on. Let me see here.
Got the medal on.
A lot of people recommend to do whenever you're gonna make yourself success conscious is to basically carry $300 $100 bills on you at all times. So I do carry with $100 bills on me at all times. I have them here, and I have them here in my wallet. But what I ended up getting is a money clip. I don't know what the female version of it. I guess I'm pretty sure for a woman there's a money clip that for women. But for a guy, it would be like a money clip that you can, as soon as you look at it, you see the $300 bill sticking out. And so that's like one thing that you guys can, I would recommend that you guys do think of getting a money clip. And then like for women, I mean, I'm pretty sure there's something equivalent to a money clip where as soon as you open your wallet, you see $3 $100 bills in your wallet. And I feel like that's something that you guys should implement. Just as we put ourselves and make ourselves more success conscious, it's important ourselves to tell our subconscious minds, we are successful. we are the person that we want to be, you know, and carrying, I know no one carries cash anymore, but if this is a rule that's recommended by the great people, it was recommended by Tony Robbins, is recommended by Jim Rohn, Tony Robbins' mentor, is recommended in this book, it's something that we should apply. Another thing that I do to put myself to be success conscious, I also put a check in my wallet of how much I want to earn on a monthly basis. I filled it out, I sign it, I put the amount, and I put it there. You know, it's important to have that. And also in my wallet, I have a picture of my wife, you know, a nice, you know, my sexy, beautiful, delicious wife, how I say in my statement. I have her picture right on here. Instead of having my license, I see her picture all day throughout the day when I open my wallet. And so something that kind of, apart from success conscious, right, relating to my relationship, affirming everything that you want to have in your life, we all got to have little images surrounding ourselves with that. What else do I have? I mean, I think I have some other images on my office that relating to things that I want to achieve. Just kind of like a vision board, except since I don't have enough things to fill a vision board, I put the check that I have, I put something related to my relationship, I put something related to my business, you know, have it there. So that way you can see it. I have a quote there that I like to look at. Oh, and I have my statement, which we're going to go over next week. I have my statement written there. I can look at it, but I have it by this time. I actually, I have it memorized. I have it memorized, my statement memorized. We'll go over that next week. But, you know, have these little things. We want to become success conscious. So having said that, we want to make sure that we put these images all over. You know, another thing you could do is put on your screensaver. You could put on your screensaver something related to what you want to achieve, something that you want to accomplish in your life. And all these little things make us more success conscious. And not just success, but like success related to whatever you want to achieve, your relationship, your health, and those things are important. So like, for example, for my health, I don't have any images. So that's a good idea. I brought it up. I don't have any images of the body that I want to have. I don't have anything. It's just kind of like program. I need to do 2 times a week. I gotta go to my personal trainer. But if I put, you know, I put a type of body I want to have, or I want to put the type of energy I want to have, or I put this and this and that, it's going to make huge difference. It's going to make a huge difference in my life. So for example, for a homework I'll give to myself and everyone, see if what's one thing that you guys can think of that's going to make you more success conscious towards whatever aspect of your life, whether it's finances, maybe carrying the 3-100 bills that everybody carries. Maybe it's creating, maybe you don't have to have a full blown vision board, because honestly, that takes time. I've thought of doing that, but honestly, you have to go buy a bunch of magazines to do it. I mean, some people are more natural at doing the vision board, so I'm not going to discourage you from doing that. Vision board is awesome. But I would say just get maybe 1 or 2 images or 3 images to start. So things that you guys would want to have to pull you towards that goal that you want to have. Think about that, you know, that the health you want to have, that relationship you want to have, the type of passion you want to have in your relationship, the type of, you know, job you want to. If you have a job, I mean, what's the most value that you can give in that job? Well, if you have a business, what's the most value that you can get? How can you improve it more? How can you make it better? You know, make sure to position yourselves towards success. To position yourselves towards success. We want to make sure that I'm gonna give you guys one homework to basically do one thing, whether it's the $300 bills, whether it's that, or if you guys think of another idea to make yourselves more success conscious. Another thing is you could, you know, if you're dressed more professionally. For me, for example, I like to, I guess this is something I haven't followed to the extreme. I guess I look at role models. I like to look at role models. I like to dress, you know, casual. I look at people like Steve Jobs. I look like people like Mark Zuckerberg. I look at people that had kind of uniforms every day. They're not overly dressed every day. So for me, I'm not the type of person to wear a suit. But if you're going to wear a suit, you're putting yourself in that success consciousness mentality. You're putting yourself in that frame of mind. You know what? I'm important. I'm giving out to the world that, you know what? I'm here to make things happen. I'm here to make moves. So if you feel that that's your type of personality, I would say, you know, go ahead and get suits or dress as professional as you can. For me, I like to think of myself, this is who I am. I do it like this because I look at my role models and that's how they dress. You see Mark Zuckerberg, he dressed with a hoodie. I don't wear hoodies, but I do wear a polo every day. I wear a polo, and that's how I like to dress every day. So, but I would recommend you guys, if you guys are going to do either a dress or $100 bills, get an image or 2 or a couple or more if you have a little bit more spare time. Put it on your office. Put it in your car. I have in my car an image of my statement. I have my check. I have a check there. I have a picture of my wife and my kid and my kids. And so that kind of like puts me in that state. I see that, I'm like, oh wow, that's kind of nice. I go to pay something. I'm like, oh, there's my wife, in my wallet. So I get that reminder every single day that I go into my wallet. And so it's a nice little thing to take into account. Anyway, another I guess pointing to another thing here in the book. It says this. It points this towards the end of the chapter. It says this: you are the master of your fate, the captain of your soul. Because when Henley wrote the prophetic lines, I am the master of my fate, I am the captain of my soul, he should have informed us that we are the masters of our fate, the captains of our soul, because we have the power to control our thoughts. He should have told us that the ether in which this little earth floats, in which we move and have our being, is a form of energy, moving at an inconceivably high rate of vibration, and that the ether is filled with the form of universal power which adapts itself to the nature of the thoughts we hold in our minds, and influences us in natural ways to transmute our thoughts into their physical equivalent. Basically like what it says. I mean, I don't know if anybody has any comments on this, but have you ever noticed how with the thoughts that we're constantly thinking, that's the type of thoughts that we emanate towards ourselves in the day? Have you guys noticed that when you start a day in a grumpy mood, the rest of the day ends up being grumpy? Or maybe like if you didn't have a good night's sleep the day before, it's easy to let it affect us, and we have a bad day, and we're kind of telling people throughout the day, I didn't get good sleep last night. Like I'm carrying the day as it is. And as you tell yourself that, and you tell other people that, you make it a reality. And so I'm always careful to anything that comes out of my mouth. I never like to criticize anybody. I never like to talk bad about anybody. It brings a bad energy to yourself, a bad energy to the world. And it's anything that we consider. Obviously, we can't say, I'm in your thoughts aren't a magic genie. You're not going to say, I have $1 million and boom, you have $1 million in your bank account, or I had the most passionate relationship, and then bam, you have instant, like a snap of a finger, you have the most passionate relationship. Sometimes it doesn't work like that. You might have it. If you already have it, of course, you're just affirming what you already have. But your thoughts that we have basically take time to manifest themselves. It takes time to do it. Anything that we're getting into, it takes time for us to basically take that leap. Your mind needs to penetrate into our subconscious mind. It needs to penetrate into everyday thoughts that we have. And that's the important thing about that goes into this book, is that we're making these thoughts, we're making these ideas penetrate into our subconscious mind, and that's the most important thing. And I don't know if you guys have any comment about maybe a point in time where you decided to, maybe your mindset was neutral, or maybe it was slightly negative, or maybe you were positive, but you surround yourself with people that maybe didn't have such a positive influence. And as soon as you started maybe reading a book, or maybe you surrounded yourself in an environment, or you got into a new environment, that your thoughts completely changed, or you started taking new actions, or you started talking differently, or you started thinking differently, or you took your goals to another level. I don't know if there's anybody on the call that would like to share an experience maybe where you basically were able to not completely transform your life, but you were able to basically alter your state of mind for at least a time, and that ended up altering a lot in your life. So is there anybody on the call that would like to share an experience where they felt that they became more of a, I guess you could say, positive thinker in life?
Mm-hmm.
I would like to hear anybody that would like to share.
No, yo creo que la gotera de allá.
Basically, for me, my life when I was able to pop positive.
We can't hear you. Well, you're trying to figure that out. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
one of the things that I've learned is when you, a lot of times people say, well, I don't want to have this, and I don't want this to happen. I don't, not. Problem is, whatever power it is, whether it's the universe, whether it's your subconscious, doesn't hear the word not. So if you say, I do not want to gain weight, all it hears is want to gain weight, and you'll start gaining weight. So what Miss Tony says, Tony Robbins, is be careful the way you say it. Or if you don't want to gain weight, you turn it around and say, I want to get rid of X amount of weight, or I want to be a certain time. Because if you say, and even using the word loss, what happens when you lose something? If you lose your keys, or you lose your wallet, or you want to find it. Well, it's the same thing if it's the weight problem. And if you say, I want to lose weight, well, your mind says, uh-oh, you don't want to lose it. I got to find it because you lost it. But by getting rid of it, it has a different connotation.
Right.
And, or I don't want to be in a bad relationship. So you turn that around and say, I want to be in the most fabulous relationship there's ever been.
Right. Can you guys hear me now?
Yes.
Yes? You guys can hear me now, right?
Yes.
Oh, okay, perfect. All right, yeah, no, definitely. We always want to affirm what we want to achieve versus saying, I want to get out of debt. I don't want to have I don't want to be yelled at, be surrounded by negative people. I don't want to achieve this, and that. And that's one of the most important things in this book. And so I just want to let you guys know that. And I guess before we get off the call, I want to basically end up saying this. Like I said at the beginning, now as we've gone through these different principles, we've seen that desire, persistence, these little things affirmed to ourselves each and every day are things that are common. There's a common thread on a lot of the people that we're studying here. Where it's a common principle as we go on. We're seeing that this is a common principle that we're able to apply to our own lives. And as it says at the end of the chapter, it says, we are now ready to examine the first of these principles. Maintain a spirit of open-mindedness and remember as you read, they are the invention of no one man. The principles were gathered from the life experiences of more than 500 men who actually accumulated riches in huge amounts. Men who began in poverty but with little education, without influence. The principles worked for these men. You could put them to work for your own enduring benefit. You will find it easy, not hard to do. And so I want to leave you guys on that note and let you guys know that we're here to dive into these principles. We're here to learn on these things. We're here to go. And there's so many things in this first chapter that we're able to apply from here, knowing that, you know what, our thoughts are things, how it says, are the persistence, our desires was going to make the difference. As our subconscious minds, as that information penetrates into our subconscious mind, we're going to be more alert. We're going to realize that persistence is going to be what's going to be required to achieve that what we want to achieve. It's going to be the desire that there's going to be. It's this mastermind, a group of people that's here on this call that's going to allow us to basically take our lives to the next level, be leaders in our community, be leaders in our family, be leaders in our jobs, be leaders as if you're a business owner, be leaders in your business, be leaders in your relationship. And as we take control of our own lives, as we take control of the thoughts that we're putting into ourselves, as we take control of the people that we're surrounding ourselves with, that's what's going to make the difference. That's what's going to take our lives to the next level. That's what's going to improve our health. That's what's going to improve our relationship. That's what's going to improve our finances. And as we go forward, I'm looking forward to continue to be on the calls with you guys. I'm gonna leave for you guys the homework is going to be to read chapter 2. Which is, it calls into the same, I can't remember the exact title of the chapter, but it's going to go over, part of it is going to go over various different things. And as a homework, it goes over the statement. If you could please fill in the aspect that if they asked for. I'm gonna post it on the website. I'm on the file section. I'm gonna post what it asked for, and that way you guys can fill in your statement, and that way you guys have a starter statement to go. You guys don't need to take weeks and weeks to do it. You guys can just fill it in, or you could take 10 minutes to fill it in, or an hour, however much you want to take to fill it in. I'm gonna post it on the file section. I'm gonna leave you guys to read chapter 2 and do the statement, because this chapter is going to be a foundation for the rest of the book, and the rest of the book is going to go off of basically what goes on in this chapter. So if there's any final comments from anybody, I want to thank all of you guys for being on this call. I know you guys are freaking awesome for being on this call, and I'm thankful and grateful for you guys to be on this call today. And I'm looking forward to seeing you guys in the coming weeks on this call. Okay, so I want to say thank you guys, and I'll talk to you guys soon. All right, thank you very much.
All right,
Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Bye.